connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
At Fusion Sport, we're all about driving human performance. We develop and support a range of technologies all designed to assist people to be their best. Smarterbase is used by hundreds of elite sporting organisations across the globe, and more recently has been used by the military and performing arts as well.
Our Smarterbase technology has at the heart of it an integrated and connected philosophy. What's different about Smarterbase is that it's truly flexible and self-engineerable. That really puts the power into our customers' hands, and it allows them to use it in unique ways that perhaps we haven't even thought of.
Between ourselves and the rest of the field, but here comes Jemmy Stone.
What's going on, everybody? Your man Eric Wilson for the Sports Arena here on a Wednesday night, and we've got a jam-packed show, so let me not waste any time. Let me go ahead and get the gentleman up in here with us. As always, we got our man, Fox Sports, 1340 AM, Cardiac Cane, Sideline Sports Network, and Fin Fanatic, I believe, is the last one. Mr. John Shears in the building. What's up, John? How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. Yes, you got that right. Fin Fanatic. I write for them now. So, in addition to everything else, so 1-0 Dolphins, first place.
You know what they say, NFL not for long. So I know someone's gonna have something to say about that. Let me go ahead and get him in here. Mr. Mike Caratanudo. What's up, Mike? How are you, sir?
I just stopped vomiting after I saw John's shirt. So I mean, it's all right though. You got to be happy when you're in first after 1 week, you know, because 1972 was a long time ago. So
you're not sure what first place is.
I get a dog. Well, more recent than you.
All right. Well, since the smack talking has already begun, we're just going to go ahead and dive right in tonight here on the Sports Arena. I'm sure my man Alex Fleming is going to be joining us momentarily. Ty Ray and Megan, they off doing their thing as always. Busy people. But you know what? The hustle and the grind never stops. So, gentlemen, I want to start the conversation tonight because we are officially in week 2, if you will. It starts tomorrow. And we have 6 divisional matchup games going on next week. So I wanted to ask you, which divisional matchup out of these 6 that I'm showing you right here are you most excited to watch this coming Sunday, Thursday, and Monday?
I mean, I guess you could ask which one am I actually excited about, because 4 of them are like not that great. But the Saints Panthers is interesting, and the Dolphins Bills is interesting because the Saints looked good against the Packers, and the Panthers as I've been saying, it should go about 8-9. So they're an interesting team with a lot of new weapons. Then the Dolphins are in first for now. And then the Bills didn't look great. So how will the Bills bounce back? And can the Dolphins keep this up after a division win on the road to start their season against Bill Belichick in a hostile environment? So I'm most interested in the Dolphins Bills, obviously, because that's a prove-it game for the Dolphins, and it's a bounce-back game for the Bills. Can they avoid 0-2, which would be just awful for them? So that one's what I'm most watching.
Mike?
Well, I mean, the look on Josh Allen's face after the game said it all. I feel sorry for the Dolphins. They're a good little defense, but their quarterback that can only throw one touchdown, the game's in trouble. But since Alex isn't here, guys, this is easy. It's the Falcons and the Bucks. The Falcons look like got just beat down by the other birds last week. So when the Falcons somehow upset the Bucks, I mean, I don't know if Joe Carlino's going to get out of his bed, Eric and John. I really don't know if Joe will get out of his bed if the Falcons win that game. All right, all kidding aside, I want the Falcons to win that game. But it's interesting to see how they bounce back with their coach. I actually want to go with the two games below that. Is as much as I like the three games on the left, I mean, yeah, the Panthers, I'm with you. The Panthers and the Saints, it's a divisional game. I think between that and, unfortunately, the Bills and Dolphins, I have to compliment the Dolphins, Eric. But the Bills and Dolphins, like, that's probably the two best division games right there. But with what the Lions did coming back against the Niners last week, I mean, come on. I mean, they were getting crushed, and there's, 2 minutes and 7 seconds left, and they get 2 touchdowns. They recover an onside kick. I'm like, what is this, Dallas and Atlanta from a year ago? I'm like, this is unbelievable. But, look, everybody made fun of Dan Campbell, and I know we all talk about the bite in the kneecaps, but he will fire a team up. Now, do they have the talent offensively? And then, what is it? Did I see they lost Jeff Okudah for the season?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one? Yeah, the Lions
hurt
lost
feelings.
Yeah,
hurt feelings.
So, well, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, that the way the Packers play, yeah, everybody expects them to bounce back, but this is the one thing that I talked about when we were doing our previews last week, Eric, is the offensive line. Now, they did lose some key guys. I don't feel the guys they plugged in, I don't feel are better, but I'm not saying their line got so much worse. But if the Lions can somehow run the ball, and we know they don't have Alvin Kamara on their team, but if the Lions can run the ball and Goff can make short throws and, again, keep them off the field, and I know I sound contradicting myself because I said on Monday, guys, it's not time to hit the panic button for Green Bay. It's one game. It's week 1. But at the same time, if the Lions keep it close late on a Monday night, I mean, the Raiders weren't going to beat the Ravens. So, I mean, that's why I'm interested in that game. I mean, the Giants and Washington, of course, division-wise, that intrigues me because, look, we all took the Giants, and I think I just talked myself out of it during the preview show because we talked about what Denver's defense is. And Denver's defense, healthy like Washington's, is going to keep them in pretty much most of their games. I mean, Kansas City will be tough. The Chargers will be tough. Heck, the Raiders will probably be tough because I think Derek Carr literally just sits at his house and throws balls to Darren Waller. It's fine because that's a good target to have. But that Denver defense showed, and Washington's defense can do the same. But I guess the question I have for you guys is, can Taylor Heineke, because I know he did it in one game last year, but as a starter, can the Giants defense bottle him up? So that'll be interesting.
Well, he's had the entire week now to, I guess, grow with the playbook, if you will, and get a better understanding, knowing that he is going to be taking first-team reps. So hopefully there can be a little bit of continuity, timing, and rhythm. When I look at the 6 matchups that we have right here, Mike, I'm gonna go to you and say that Monday night matchup I'm most excited to watch. Why? Because I feel like we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers played a preseason game, or looked like he was in a preseason game against Jacksonville. Against New Orleans. It was in Jacksonville. And we have known Aaron Rodgers to not be that type of quarterback. So I will say that is, I'm very excited that that's the Monday night game. But the game that I am most excited to watch is the New England game. Because if the Miami Dolphins can go into Gillette and beat Bill Belichick in their home opener, that should send to the rest of the entire AFC East, yo, this team is not the same. Mac Jones is a rookie, and you can get some victories. So as much as and I said it Monday night, I was like, whoever the Patriots face I feel bad for them. And now 2 days later, I guess I am kind of flipping on this a little bit. I haven't made my official prediction, but if I'm the New York Jets and I'm Robert Saleh and I'm my home opener is against arguably for 2 decades the team. Now they're missing pieces, of course. I'm curious to see what the New York Jets are going to throw at New England this Sunday. I'm most excited to watch that game. I really am. Buffalo, Miami, John, listen, I love you. I do. But Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, they're not going to have the same type of performance that they had against Pittsburgh. And we got to show love to Pittsburgh, because for a team who we all said would not get more than 9 wins, they kind of, started last season the same way they're starting this season, which is disrupting a lot of teams. Divisional matchup in the NFC East tomorrow night, and we'll definitely get to our picks later on here tonight on the Sports Arena with regard to that. I want to side with Saquon Barkley because he's my Penn State guy. I just don't know. That Saints-Panthers, though, John, you make a very good point. Both these teams coming out of the gate and kind of setting the tone for themselves. Yeah, I'm really curious. Listen, if we could beat the Falcons, I know Tampa's going to beat the Falcons. I don't care that it's a divisional matchup. And I always say with divisional matchups, you throw the book out the window. Believe you me, Tampa, that would truly be an upset. And unless you're a Falcons fan, I think 95% of the world is picking Tampa to win this game. I don't see this as a trap game because Tom Brady doesn't do that. Atlanta just doesn't have it. I mean, prove me wrong, Matt Ryan. Prove me wrong, Calvin Ridley. But Kyle Pitts, prove me wrong. But I just don't see it.
Yeah, I had 5 wins on them. They don't look anywhere close to 5 wins. I mean, that was abysmal. They showed no fight. The offense, Mike Davis is not the answer. And Calvin Ridley, I think he's going to have a good year. I think he'll be fine, but it looks like Calvin Ridley's not exactly the guy that he looks like. He needs the Julio Jones in order to still do it, like help carry the team. Not that he's not going to be productive, but wins-wise, I just don't think he's going to be carrying the team to many wins. And I'm not pushing the panic button on Kyle Pitts yet, but I don't understand how that the offense was dead in the water. And the defense actually played really well. I mean, eventually they broke down. They held the Eagles to 15 points for a while, but you can only hold a team down for so long. I mean, you need the offense to help you out at some point, and the Falcons' offense didn't do anything, and eventually their defense broke down. Eventually the Eagles broke through because you're on the field the whole damn game. So the defense actually looked solid for a while, and then the defense isn't great, but the offense needs to help them out, and the offense looked like Matt Ryan did. Face first on the ground.
John, what you say about Calvin Ridley is what we were saying about Juju Smith-Schuster last summer, Eric, is that once Antonio Brown leaves, you have to get used to that double team, and the talent is still there. They're going to roll to him. So, again, look, for week 1, I know none of us were expecting the Falcons to do much, and we know who I picked. I don't have to put it out of my mouth again. We know who I picked. But with that, when you look at it, Matt Ryan getting on the page with the offense, the defense did okay, but a lot of that too, like I say, is week 1. Teams that didn't play guys in the preseason. And I'm with you. I'm not saying Calvin Ridley's going to put up, because Julio Jones every year just yards. And the guy just chewed up yards. Didn't always have the touchdowns, and those drove fantasy owners crazy. But when I look at Atlanta, it's going to come down to defense. When you talk about defense, those second 2 games, Eric, I just want to wrap that up real quick on the left side with Carolina, obviously in New Orleans and Buffalo and Miami. Those are the 2 best division games this week. But I will say this for the Jets, because, Robert Saleh, from the beginning, I'm not saying you guys didn't like it, but I thought it was a great hire. They're going to
it's a fantastic hire.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah,
they're
it's a great hire.
They're going to fight every week, and that's the thing. Now, the injuries, and look, Zach Wilson, I said it. I thought he looked the best in the preseason. And again, I know Mac Jones. Obviously, Mac Jones can run an offense. We see that. But with what the throws that Zach Wilson can make, and as much as I tease you guys, I know a lot of times when the BYU plays on a Saturday night, you guys are already in bed. I mean, it's, by the time the game ends, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning there. So, or maybe 2 o'clock. Once time changes, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So maybe you hang on for it. But no, I mean, look, I love what Zach Wilson's doing. Yes, Robert Salah addressed that he got hit, but he bounced back up every time. He is a bigger kid, but he's going to have to.
They're without Becton as well for indefinitely.
Right. Well, right. And that hurt him too. But look, those guys will play defense, a defense that can keep them in it. But the offense at some point has to score. And again, you saw two weapons in Darnold and Anderson sitting in Carolina, and that's kind of where the Jets are at. But yeah, I mean, division games this early are always cool, but man, I don't know, man. I know we got a little bit, Eric, but it's hard not to. I'd love to see the Lions beat the Packers, not just because I can't stand the Packers, but I just think the way they played the end of the game last week, it could happen.
No, I agree.
If Green Bay gets off to a bad start, if Green Bay gets off to a bad start again, people can say, "Oh, it's 1 week," but come on, man. We all have short-term memory, but we also have things in the back of our mind. And you guys know your team gets off to a bad start and you're playing, and it's a second time. It's hard not to be like, "Are you kidding me again?"
I'm disappointed. Just to touch on the Giants game, I'm disappointed that Fitzpatrick isn't playing because I really wanted this to be a good game to watch, and I'm not so sure now with Heineke versus Daniel Jones that it's going to be a great game to watch. I wish Fitzpatrick was there because I was excited about this matchup, but not so much anymore.
I understand. Mr. Fleming is joining us here. Mr. Fleming, can you hear us?
Just barely. Just got out of work, bro. Man.
I understand.
My apologies to everyone.
No. It's all good. So let me just ask you real quick, sir. We were talking about the divisional matchups, and I know you might not be able to see it, but there are 6 divisional matchups this week. New York versus the Washington football team, Saints, Panthers, Bills, Dolphins, Falcons facing the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Patriots, Jets, and Lions and Green Bay Packers. Which matchup, sir, are you most excited to watch?
Honestly?
Yes, sir.
Saints, Panthers. Look. You don't embarrass Aaron Rodgers 2 weeks in a row. I don't even want to worry about that. Did you see what happened to the Sith Lord last week against the Miami Dolphins in the defensive struggle? Yeah. And he is like forever and against rookie quarterbacks. So good night, Jets. Giants, Washington football team. I had this game for the Washington football team, but I had the Giants winning. So now I really don't know. And with Fitzpatrick out, it's Buffalo, Miami. I'm not going to speak on that. All right. Until Miami does something different, I'm not going to think anything different's going to happen. And the Falcons versus the Bucks.
They're going to win.
Please. The only intriguing matchup I really see, other than maybe New York, Washington, is the Saints and the Panthers. And this goes with my theory that I said well before season started. The Panthers are better than we thought they're going to be. They can make a statement.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's move on. I've got the guys with me here tonight. Mike Caratanudo, Believe in the Pac-12, John Shear, Fox Sports, 1340 AM, and Alex Fleming, Florida Sun and NSPN. So, gentlemen, my next question to you is, of the teams that did not win, which 0-1 team needs to win this week? John Shear, I'm going to go to you, sir.
I guess it depends on all of the matchups because if you're playing a divisional opponent, the Packers have to beat the Lions. The Cowboys the Cowboys didn't look bad, but they are going on the road against the Chargers. So, especially with all these injuries, the Cowboys really need a bounce back win for their sake. Just, I would believe mentally, they really need a win because of all the injuries they've had and the tough loss they had. They would need a victory. There's a lot of teams in here. I mean, the Packers, the Titans looked awful, so they need, in the worst kind of way, they need to bounce back. The Bills cannot start 0-2 after the upset against the Steelers, and then you go on the road and you play a divisional opponent who is trying to take your spot in the division and lose to them and start 0-2, then the Browns just lost OBJ, lost a heartbreaker to the Chiefs, so you cannot start 0-2. The Ravens have Super Bowl aspirations, have all these injuries. You can't start 0-2. Patriots, I'm not worried about. Vikings, they're not going anywhere. Washington, you have to win this game against the Giants, who looked dead in the water against the Broncos. And then the Colts also have Super Bowl aspirations as well. So there's a lot of Super Bowl aspirations type of teams here that need to win. I don't know what specific team, but there's a lot of teams here that cannot afford to start 0-2 because a lot of them have high hopes going into the season.
All right, Mr. Fleming, what about you, sir?
Unlike John, I'm not going to name every team. I'm just going to point out two. One of them being those damn Chicago Bears. Chili running hot. If you lose to the Cincinnati Bengals, if you thought Justin Fields' talk was hot before, wait till you lose to the Cincinnati Bengals starting the Red Rifle. You'll never hear the end of it. And my second team, ironically, the Cleveland Browns. You're playing the Houston Texans. Okay, they played their Super Bowl week 1 against the Jaguars, and they actually looked decent. They didn't look good. They looked decent. You can't lose to the Texans, bro. With all the star and firepower that you got and the way you put Kansas City on the ropes, if you lose that game, you truly will be paper champions.
All right. Mike Caratanudo.
Well, I look at it, and I know you say which team needs to win, but, I mean, look, do I think Baltimore's a playoff team? Absolutely. Do they need to work some things out, as we saw on Monday night? Yes. But when you look at Baltimore's schedule, I mean, they have Kansas City this week, and a ton of people, of course, I think the Chiefs are road favorites. But then they also have Indianapolis coming up. I mean, for Baltimore's schedule, yeah, they have Kansas City. They do go to Detroit. They should win that game. But then they got to go to Denver, and they turn around and play Indy the next week, followed by the Chargers. And then before their bye, they have the Bengals. So, I mean, look, it could be a rough start for Baltimore if they drop to 0-2, which I know some are thinking they will. But the other, I would probably say, Baltimore is my number one. And then, I mean, I can't believe, Alex is saying the Bears. I mean, it's the 1-0 Cincinnati Bengals. Hello. We all knew that. I mean, you have the whole AFC North there with the Lions. So, I mean, any of those teams can go 0-2 and still make the playoffs. So that kind of eliminates them for me. Look, the Giants, obviously, they'll go as Saquon Barkley goes. I'm still not as hard on Daniel Jones. I think if you actually protect him, I mean, Gettleman spends money, but as we talked about, Eric doesn't shore up the offensive line, which I know you and I really aren't losing any sleep over.
Not at all.
But for Giants fans, they're like, Daniel Jones can be very productive. I mean, running the ball, the way he throws the ball when he has time, if he has time. So, I mean, for the Giants, they're going to go as Saquon Barkley goes, and if they can actually keep Daniel Jones upright. I guess my second will be the Colts. I'd say, I mean, if they do go 0-2, I mean, the whole Carson Wentz thing, I'm sure we'll start there. But, again, with that defense, you can't panic. But, yeah, Ravens are definitely number one. And then I would say the Colts, because the other teams, I mean, like John was saying, you really don't see – I mean, some of the other teams, you don't see making a playoff push or going deep into the playoffs. I mean, I know it's going to sadden you if the Vikings don't make it, Eric. But
oh yeah,
but yeah,
I'm going to be truly heartbroken.
But yeah, so I mean, Alex's Falcons aren't going to make the playoff push. So the Jets, I mean, like I said, the Jets and Lions those are the two teams that their coaches will definitely push, the team and see how long they can be competitive for. But I wouldn't worry. Like I said, the Browns, the way their schedule works out, but the Ravens, man, when we looked at their schedule. And we redid our picks. Like I said, I picked them to win the division by a game over the Browns. But, man, if they go 0-2, and granted, the Browns, I mean, go 1-1. It's early, but that's just a tough stretch there.
You don't think Cowboys, like, psychologically with all the injuries, losing 2 games to start the season, you don't think that'll hurt?
No, because of, and Eric knows this, I'm picking on us, but I mean, if since Fitzpatrick went out, everybody knows about the Washington D, John, so they can hang in pretty much any game. The Giants defense, possibly, but like I've said from the time we made our picks, with that offensive line, like, good luck. Saquon Barkley's not going to have a ton of openings. So, I mean, in the division, no, but I mean, going deep into look, with the way the NFC West played, somebody brought this up today. I thought 3 teams. You realize that they could have a division winner and they could have all 3 of the wild cards.
That is a possibility. And
they can't.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
7 teams make it.
7 teams make it. So
it is possible, but it's not going to happen.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not impossible.
I'm just saying, there's 1 team from the East, 1 team from the North. The South might be the one where, okay, they could bump one of those teams from the West out. But I'm sorry, the East and North aren't doing it. The South has a chance, possibly. But, I mean, the West, it's insane. So, John, to answer your question, sorry, because, yes, mentally, of course, it's going to hurt to go 0-2 in that division. Not so much.
Let's stick a pin in that. We'll save that conversation for a later time. Here's what I'm going to say, and I'm very surprised that no one brought this team up. And I have to give a shout to our friend John Mizak saying, "I'll cry if Denver loses to the Jaguars," because that is actually the 0-1 team that I think needs to win this week. You know, yes, you lost to an AFC South divisional opponent in the Houston Texans, and Mike is still getting hate mail on Twitter.
Yes.
But what I'm going to sit here and say to you is, Urban Meyer is a very prideful man, and I really don't think that he is going to allow this team to start the season 0-2. With regards to the NFC East, since John, you brought them up, all the points that Mike said are true and relevant. However, in a division where last year the winning team, the team that made it to the postseason, had an under 500 record, and I will say that on some regards, maybe they got a little bit better, but in most regards, they didn't. Alex is sitting here saying that New York and Washington are slept on by so many people. Well, guess what? Denver just went into the Meadowlands and whooped them, and Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't last a full game, and now you have to go with Tyler Heineke, who we'll see what he can do tomorrow night. So, as far as I'm concerned, those 2 teams, which I didn't have a lot of love for in the first place because they're in my division, I go back to my original point. It boils down to, unfortunately, myself and Mr. Caratanudo's Dallas Cowboys. But Jacksonville is the team that I want to see how they respond from losing the way that they did. Because as we said, as the game progressed, Trevor Lawrence got more comfortable. It was his rookie debut, but now he's back at home in Jacksonville around his fans, his people. Let's see what he's able to do. The other team that I would slowly throw in there is the team that I ranted on Monday night about. It's Minnesota. You have everything in the palm of your hand and you can't get the job done. Kirk Cousins, step the hell up. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, do what everybody expects you to do. I know you may not have your own expectations, but trust me, on paper, you're supposed to be a top team. And then I guess if I had to round it out with 3, I just have to say to myself, it's Bill Belichick. It's the New England Patriots. You do not lose back-to-back games. And so, but my first and foremost, again, Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, I think they need this win more than any of the other teams that lost to prove that they're not just another, I'm not calling them a college team. It's just when you have a new head coach and you have a brand new quarterback, you're only going to get a pass for so long. And because of what transpired in the offseason, I have to see it with this team as constructed. So,
and Eric, you make a great point real quick, because if Jacksonville stays one-dimensional, like we talked about, and just throws the ball against Denver, they're going to get killed by halftime. Yep. That's all I got.
Go ahead, Alex. Last point, and then we're going to move on.
I will bring it up that Lamar's MVP season, they started 0-2. So they don't necessarily need to win on Sunday. But it would be nice if they could beat the Chiefs and get that monkey off their back, because Lamar is 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes. But that's the one team that doesn't need to win on Sunday, because we can do. They can get hot.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 1-0 teams. And then I've got a couple other questions for the gentleman. More with the Sports Arena back in just a moment.
Generations Physical Therapy has been the Tri-State's leader in physical therapy services for over 20 years. And now we have a convenient location right in the heart of the capital city of Charleston, just off I-64. With convenient parking and flexible hours, your access to physical therapy is second to none. Plus, Snap Fitness is also inside with 2 floors of gym equipment and sports enhancement training through A-Game Sports Performance. So whether you're needing hands-on physical therapy or looking to get results in our gym, our family's ready to help yours. Generations Physical Therapy and Snap Fitness. Multiple services, multiple locations. Experience you can count on.
Carousel, this the carousel. On or you off, either you're on or you're off, either you're on or you're off. Knock 'em out. Carousel, 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 this the carousel. On or you're off, either you're on or you're off, either you're on or you're off. Knock 'em out.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the NFL Carousel Season 2 is back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Get ready, because hashtag we back at it. It's going to be some fun, hosted by your man, Mr. Alex Fleming. Joining me here tonight on the Sports Arena alongside John Shear and, of course, Mike Carrot-Tenuto. So, gentlemen, let's get to the second half of the show here, and I want to ask you a question. Since we talked about the 0-1 teams, I figure it's only fair that we talk about the teams that actually are currently undefeated. So, Alex Fleming, I'm going to go to you first, sir. Which 1-0 team cannot afford to lose this week?
Well, besides the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is obvious because we don't lose the Pigeons, I would probably have to say the pressure is on the Philadelphia Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals need to pick up each and every win they can, because they are in the toughest division in football. And considering that they're facing mediocre Kirk Cousins, they should get that W. But you'd be surprised how funny the NFL is. The Bengals won. We didn't see that. The Texans won. We didn't see that. And the Raiders beat the Ravens on Monday Night Football. So, you know, more than meets the eye is just an understatement. So I would probably say the Eagles and the Cardinals is going to be a bird fest, because a lot of these teams aren't in jeopardy. Kansas City can afford a loss. Pittsburgh can afford a loss, considering that they're facing the Raiders and the Rams. Nobody sees that coming, but if they lose to a Colts team, that's a good Colts team. So, yes, the Birds are on prowl, and that includes Seattle.
All right. Mr. Carrot-Tenuto.
Well, I mean, come on. They're playing the Vikings. And look, yes, the Vikings have weapons. I respect them, but not just because of Chandler Jones. I told you the Cardinals defense would be better, and J.J. Watt, his presence there, Budda Baker in that secondary. Byron Murphy, local high school kid, actually played high school ball here in Arizona too. Look, Patrick Peterson, Scott saying can cover. He stepped up, man. He was going There were a few times he was going toe to toe with Julio Jones on his own. So look, that defense is for real. But yes, they're going to have to cover and play. I would say, I'm with Alex to the point. If dropping a game out of the division in the West is going to be tough, but I would have to say, you know what, and not because I'm not being a homer, Eric, because they're playing the Cowboys and Chargers. Because the funny thing about this, they mentioned this when we were watching the Cowboys game. You realize that even though the Chargers are better, the Cowboys don't face a team that went to the playoffs until week 11 when they played the Chiefs. So, that was it. But the Chargers are a lot better. So, and to keep pace in that division too. So, maybe to Alex's point, I say that, I think the Rams are going to end up beating the Colts. But yeah, I'd go with the Chargers. And of course I can't go with the Texans, who I said would be in first place, Eric, after week 1. The first place Houston Texans, 1-0. Yeah, go Texans. Oh, it still pains me. But yeah, no, I'd say the Chargers, and I would say, I guess I'm with it because the Niners, Cardinals, and Seahawks and Rams, like, you're just dropping a game. And in that division, like, it can make all the difference between getting to maybe win the division, host a wild card game, or go on the road. So that's crazy.
John Scheer?
Yeah, I think it has to be the Dolphins, honestly. This is your season right here. If you're going to win the division, if you're serious about winning the division, this is the game, because you went to Foxborough and you won on the road. That's great, because you have to go about 4-2 or 5-1 to win the division. 6 games a year, you have to do minimum 4-2. You can't go 3-3 or worse. So they got their road win in Foxborough out of the way. They're probably going to sweep the Jets, probably going to sweep the Patriots. So the Bills, you're going to have to split, because you're not going to Buffalo and winning. You're going to have to split that. So this is a statement game. You're going to have to win this game. Show that the Foxborough game wasn't an aberration. You're going to have to win this game and put the Bills down to 0-2 and you to 2-0 and you at 2-0 in the division. You have to do that. Send the message, because like Mike said, or Alex said earlier, it's the same old Dolphins. If the Dolphins lose, then it's the same old Dolphins. You have to win this game and send a message to the Bills that you're serious about contending in the division. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win it, but if you're serious about contending, this is the game to tell the Bills, hey, we're here, we're for real. Also, the Denver Broncos, because if the Denver Broncos are going to try and make a run at a wild card, you can't go to Jacksonville and lose this game. Jacksonville just lost to the Texans, lost bad. You cannot lose to the Jaguars. This is a game, if you're serious, Broncos, you cannot cough this up. Doesn't matter if it's on the road, doesn't matter if it's on the East Coast, all the way down in Jacksonville. This is a game for the Broncos they have to have. If you lose this game, then you aren't making the playoffs.
John, Texans fans would appreciate you saying first place Texans. I want you
for now. Until the Colts and Titans are done playing the NFC West.
You know what? I'm just saying.
So let me say this, and I'm actually going to take a page out of Florida Sun, NSPN, and my brother Alex Fleming's book. The team that I feel can't afford to lose this week is the Carolina Panthers. Because as Alex said, they need to wait their turn, because this is Tampa's time. Well, Carolina is like, all right, well, basically Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson got their revenge game out the way. Thank you, New York Jets. But now you're facing a new look New Orleans Saints. And in that division for so long, Carolina has hit a glass ceiling, if you will. They've always been chasing. They've always been trying to play catch up. They've always been trying to assert themselves as a formidable opponent within that division. Well, now they have pieces to make that happen. And if you want to get the wild card spot, you have to start by beating your divisional opponents. To everything John said about Miami, I'm going to say the exact same thing about Carolina, a team, not even my division, but if you want to send a message to the NFC South that we're tired of hitting our glass ceiling halfway through the season and not even getting looked at and getting glossed over year after year after year, we have to set a precedent. We have to control our own narrative. And I feel they do that against the New Orleans Saints. They have to do that against the New Orleans Saints, because Jameis is playing right now, in my opinion, with house money. No one expected him to come out and do what he was able to do, but eyes truly aren't on Jameis just yet. Yes, he was successful, but again, it was a place where Aaron Rodgers doesn't do well state-wise. You know, his record now is 3-5 when it comes to games played in Florida. So now Jameis is like, okay, I'm free. I'm loose. I can kind of roll the dice if I want to. Let's see what happens. But Carolina, Sam Darnold, new start. Matt Rule and this entire team are trying, I think, to elevate him to say, listen, what happened to you with the Jets and Adam Gase was deplorable. And we're thankful that we were able to pick you up and put you in a system that can benefit you. All we ask is that you go out there and be the quarterback that we know you to be. And if he can do that and maintain pace, I'm not saying keep up with Tampa, because at some point, Tampa and Carolina are going to separate themselves. But right now, I think it's Carolina's time.
Well, Eric, the funny thing I want to say, too, is I just looking at all, obviously, the teams and knowing this, but seeing the logos, I mean, the two best divisions are on the left coast, man. I mean, I know Kansas City's in the Midwest, but NFC West, AFC West, all undefeated. So, I mean, these East Coast bias people are freaking out, man. I'm just saying, it's kind of funny.
But, Mike, when you look at this, look at the NFC South. 3 out of the 4 teams in the NFC South.
I know. I'm just saying 4 for 4 in week 1. Oh, yeah. And we knew Atlanta wasn't going to be there. And like I said, I mean, John, you shouldn't have been hacking my Twitter account and talking trash about the Texans, because I said they were going to be in first place to everybody. So hit up John Shearer on that. No, just kidding. But you know what? Being 1-1 again, you see it like not losing. I think but everybody kind of agree, like the Chargers and Broncos, 2 teams again in the West that can make a run. The Raiders the same way. I mean, people don't expect them to go into Pittsburgh and win, but they prove they can hang around with the Ravens defense, I'm sure. And if the offensive look, Pittsburgh had late offense for 3 quarters. They had pretty much, or 2.5, almost 3 full quarters. They had garbage offense, and granted, we know the Bills defense can do that. So, but if the Raiders somehow go in there and win, I mean that definitely shakes up the West, at least for now, the AFC. And it just, I mean, again, it's going to give you confidence to go on the road and win like that. But, man, it's just, I think that, you know, they could afford to lose Pittsburgh, like we said. I mean, if they're going to challenge for the playoffs, and you know that Pittsburgh's rooting for Kansas City this week.
And we saw the Raiders give the Chiefs trouble twice last year. So
we did. They handed them their first loss.
That you don't think can play, John, Derek Carr actually moved the ball on the Chiefs. But, yeah, okay.
Well, their defense, I mean, the Chiefs' defense isn't that good.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Mr. Fleming, I definitely need to get this question first and foremost to you, sir. And again, I'm going to ask, as I do it, I think every season, is this the week that Justin Fields starts, Alex Fleming?
Once again, I'm going to have to say no. Unfortunately, Matt Nagy's trying to save his job, so he's going to preserve Justin Fields, even though this is a winnable game, and they really don't want to fall 0-2. But I think he's stubborn. He's trying to protect his own butt and paces. So feed Andy Dalton to the Wolves, show him how bad he is against his old former team, hope and pray that you pull out a W without playing Fields. Because if you lose against the Bengals this week, that Fields talk is going to be haunting you in your sleep.
Oh, yeah. John Shearer, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he gets away with not starting Justin Fields by doing what Alex said, throwing Andy Dalton to the wolves, but he also throws in these little packages for Justin Fields just to kind of shut people up enough to where he can get to the next week, and he can just keep doing this until they're bad enough, and then he throws him in there, and season's over, but hey, we got promise for next year. Believe me, trust me, I'm the con artist. You got promise for next year. Just bring me back one more year. I'm that guy.
Mike?
Oh, man. I mean, did Matt Nagy change his name to Adam Gase, Eric? I mean, I get it. But, well, first, before I start, Eric, I mean, I love John John Mysack over there saying he's hurting our feelings. The AFC South equals the NFC East. No, John, the NFC East is tougher. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But look, with the tie for first place, Cincinnati Bengals, like everybody thought would be after week one, coming into Chicago. I mean, I agree. You don't want to lose to that team. I said I was impressed with the way Burrow looked, but as for Fields, he's not going to start him. And that's why I'm with Alex. I mean, he keeps on it. There are packages for him, just like Kyle Shanahan has for Trey Lance. If they do lose to Cincy at home, yeah, and if it's that same, terrible game plan, I didn't realize that the Bears did not attempt a pass over 20 yards against the Rams. They didn't even try to. So to me, I get it. It's a tough defense, but you still have to try and stretch tough defenses. So, look, I think the Bears defense will get to Joe Burrow. I mean, he got sacked 5 times last week against Minnesota, and the Bears defense definitely comparable, if not better than Minnesota's. So for Fields, look, I think they could, if they have a lead, I definitely see Fields getting in. But to answer your question, I just think Matt Nagy, unless for some reason they have a huge kickoff return and it's on like the 7 and he wants to do something with Fields, but I don't see him starting this week either.
Okay. I have to ask the question because I was the only person who said Justin Fields should start week 1. And he came in for a couple plays, had himself a rushing touchdown, and I guess that's the whole thing. Was that enough to keep the Chicago fan base off of his back for a little while? Because even though Justin Fields did not start against the Rams, Justin Fields did play against the Rams, and he scored versus the Rams. So maybe that was enough. But again, this is Cincinnati. This is Andy Dalton's former team. So why would you not put him out there? I still say that Justin Fields is the guy. I will extend this caveat to the Cincinnati Bengals ahead of time. If somehow, some way you find it in yourself to beat the Chicago Bears, the rant that I have on Matt Nagy next Monday night will be nothing. It will be, let me rephrase that. It will be even more than what I did to the Minnesota Vikings on Monday. If the Chicago Bears lose to the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm telling you this right now, Matt Nagy, my rant will be solely about you. Let me just go ahead and say that. Let's move on to our last topic here, gentlemen. And of course, we got the game tomorrow night. So NFL Network Thursday Night Football is back. Week 2 officially kicks off. It is Saquon Barkley and the New York Football Giants versus the Washington Football Team with Chase Young. As we said earlier, with Ryan Fitzpatrick being out, Tyler Heineke is getting his start. Alex Fleming, who's winning this game?
Okay, this is some recidivist history because if you remember last year when everybody was starting to remember how good the Washington Football Team's defense was with the addition of Chase Young, the Giants beat them. Hard to believe, but the Giants beat them, and they didn't have Saquon Barkley. Now, people seem to forget that the Giants have retooled. They have weapons. Sterling Shepard scored the only touchdown, but Denver balled up Saquon Barkley, and Kenny Golladay was fantasy relevant. I think the receivers of the New York Giants are going to be a problem if the offensive line for the New York Giants protect Mr. Jones. I think the pass rush in Washington is going to be very detrimental to the offensive line, though. I have the Washington Football Team winning this early encounter, which now means that my New York Giants division winner pick will fall to 0-2.
All right. John Scheer, who you like in this game?
Yeah, I like Washington. I mean, that D-line with how bad the Giants' offensive line is just, they're going to have a field day. I mean, this is just going to be abysmal for that line. Jones is going to be running for his life all night long. Barkley clearly was limited because he's coming back from his injury Sunday, only a couple days later, and you got to go and play Washington in that line. Barkley ain't going to make much of a difference there. If he wasn't ready Sunday, he's not going to be much more, this coming Thursday. So, I mean, this is going to be Washington. It's going to be kind of ugly because it's the NFC East and the Washington no longer has their quarterback. We don't know what Heineke is going to be. And the Giants, they look like they had no life in them. So I think Washington's not going to be pretty, but they'll end up pulling away like early in the fourth.
All right, Mr. Caratenuto.
Well, yeah,
and Mike. By the way, a tie is possible. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, both teams losing, is it? Man, I'll say this. I mean, and Daniel Jones' other security blanket, Evan Ingram, has been ruled out again. So for this game, and that's just more to put on Saquon Barkley. I mean, everything Alex said in the preseason, obviously about the Giants receivers and the weapons, and obviously with Saquon healthy, what it could do for the team is huge. But like John just said, I mean, you're coming off 3 days. Does he still? Obviously, he looked good running. I mean, you can tell he looked good running, but mentally, is he there yet? And on a short week, so yeah, I got to go with. I mean, again, no Evan Ingram, and I would love a tie, but that helps any one of them in the tiebreaker. So I'm going to go with Washington on this one, just because look what the Broncos D did, which is very competent, just like obviously the Washington defense. It's hard to say. And look, I think Taylor Heinicke have a good game, because here's the thing: there's not a ton of film on him yet. Talk to us after week 6, 7, and the second half of the season, when these defensive coordinators see what he's been doing. And if he's winning, I know Fitzpatrick, they said, could be back week 8. But if he's winning, that's one thing, John. But I don't, again, when there's more film on him, let's see. But I think for right now, it actually benefits Washington because of that defense. And like you said, there are times he'll be able in certain parts of the field to take chances, because, say he throws a 30, 40, 45, 50-yard interception. Well, it's like a punt, and now comes the defense again. So
I hate to interrupt you, Mike, but my man who handles all the graphics here on the Sports Arena,
Rob the Rams fan,
is saying the Bengals are going to win.
Oh, 100%.
This game. He said,
100%.
Book it. So
wow.
I actually agree with him. I think the Bengals are going to shock the world and go 2-0 and beat up on the Bears.
Matt Nagy,
I have a reliable source.
Matt Nagy, don't let that happen, because the rant that I've already got my rant lined up.
Guys, I have a question for you, and I'm being serious about this.
Sure.
And it's about Kelvin Benjamin. How the hell do you get suspended when you don't even have a team? You're a free agent and you got suspended. That's like getting fired on your day off.
For stealing boxes on your day off.
Friday.
Oh my goodness.
No, yeah, that's terrible.
That's horrible.
I mean,
it really is.
That kid had seemingly a promising career, and it went bye-bye.
Real fast. So when I look at this game, listen, it's an NFC East matchup. And as I always say with divisional matchups, you throw the rule book out the window, because anything and everything is possible. Now, 3 of you gentlemen here tonight have all said that the Washington football team is this should be their game. Tyler Heinicke, not a lot of film on this guy. We know what the Washington defense is capable of under Ron Rivera. We just need to see if Terry McLaurin and Tyler Heinicke can connect, and if Washington cannot be one-dimensional. But with Evan Ingram being out, I think that gives other receivers in the New York Giants arsenal to actually maybe step up, have their 15 minutes of fame. It is week 2. So I'm concerned. And if I have to, feet to the fire, and even though our man John Mizak just chimed in and said Rivera is 0-2 against the Giants, before he said that, I was leaning towards picking New York. So John Mizak, thank you for that. I'm going to take the New York Football Giants to go into FedEx Field and actually beat Ron Rivera, Tyler Heinicke, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and the Washington football team. Only because Evan Ingram, number one, isn't playing, and I feel that Saquon's coming out party, if you will, running over defenses, I think he's going to utilize that, knowing how important this game is. So I will be the odd man out on this one, and I will take the Giants to beat the Washington football team tomorrow night.
Eric, so you're saying, okay, with you picking that, to our question earlier, do you think that it wouldn't hurt Washington as much to go 0-2. And if the Giants had any, and again, I know Alex said win the division, but if the Giants had any chance in the playoffs, it would actually crush them more if they went 0-2.
I think so, Mike. I think so, Mike. I think you're right. I think, Washington going 0-2, knowing that this division, even in weeks 10, 11, and 12, are still going to be up for grabs based on the play. And I'm basing it off of last year and how just our teams within that division were just ridiculously god-awful. And yes, that includes my Philadelphia Eagles. I said it. Come at me. I don't care. I feel that New York, with Jason Garrett and Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge, they're going to get up for this game because there is, as much as there isn't talk about Philadelphia, there is talk about New York. Granted, everybody at the end of the day is saying that this is Dallas's division to win. Dallas should run away with this division. Granted, that's Dallas. They do is talk. All y'all do is talk. New York, though, has actually put some stock, not only in their coaching, aside from Jason Garrett, but also in their players. And I feel like, to credit Alex, maybe they are being slept on a little bit, but if they lose to the Washington football team tomorrow night, then as far as I'm concerned, I'm writing the Giants off. For me, this is you need to really stay in the conversation or you're going to be casted out. We know what Go ahead.
Well, one thing I will mention is that Daniel Jones has not lost to the Washington football team in his career. Out of all the teams in the division, for some reason, Daniel Jones has Washington's number.
Right. And so I'll take him. I'll take the New York Football Giants. We'll see what Ty and Megan decide. We'll get their picks. And, of course, I'll post everything tomorrow. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here on the Sports Arena. Tomorrow night, my man, Alex Fleming, Season 2 of the NFL Carousel. And like the show says, either you on or you off. For John Shear, Mike Harrison, Ty Ragg, Megan Price, Alex Fleming, your man Eric Wilson. Everyone have a great night. Hey, week 2 is here in football. And as always, we are thankful. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.